their way through MSI with the home crowd behind them. Vega looking to play spoiler to the hometown heroes.
Feels like it's poke versus engage here. So many hard engage tools from Vega Squadron, but if PVB can get an early snowball, an early springboard for the likes of Null, if he can have 100-0 kill pressure on someone, that can certainly change the tides of this game. But maybe the poke doesn't whittle down, maybe the hard engage comes out, and then this poke composition is just ripped apart. I love it when, you know, important games, game 5 of this series comes down to who's going to execute better on the composition. And
it does feel like Fenghu Buffalo have at least picked themselves into a spot where they probably do need to put their foot down a little earlier than, say, Vega Squadron will. I think we've gotten to a point where both teams kind of figured each other out. Vega is saying, we're the slower team, we're happy to play more of that style of game. And Fenghu Buffalo, we know you're the aggressive team, so they're wanting to maybe find opportunities earlier. That being said, I agree with you that we're likely going a little later, most likely.
I want to point out that Null is again running the Unsealed Spellbook on his mage in the mid lane. We saw the catastrophe that was his TP in the middle of a team fight, so hopefully doesn't make the same error this time around.
And I'm curious just how, how aggressively Fenghu play this game. But I guess we'll find out after this. And something rare, you mentioned this a few games in a row now, but Meliodas commonly does not get help for the start of his jungle. This time, Big Korra and Pallet give him the leash.
And I think it's recognizing that we need to get this guy moving through his jungle as quickly as possible. So we're going to help him out and try to, again, springboard. But this is also a really clever ward. So
nice adaptation.
Yeah, exactly. Putting the ward in the Rift Herald pit means that they spot this out. They say, okay, you fooled us once, you're not going to fool us twice. Zeros knows what's up.
Doesn't have the vision right now. Will now get the information. Pops in a Hammer Fawn for a bit of extra move speed. Dodges out. Oh, and has to flash the Rupture. So unfortunately for Zeros, still has to burn the Summoner.
And we were just complimenting the adaptation, the fact that he knew that Vi was there, and he still greeds for it and forces out the flash. Now, it's not necessarily as punishing in this matchup as it was in the one in game number 4, but that's still flashless Zeros and looks like a repeat gank here.
I like this though. Meliodas going to read the play. Good Q from Ananasik, gets out from under the belly slam. And looks like he'll just go back to his blue buff. Ananasik will have to settle with either a red side camp, or if he wants to run all the way to his buff, he can do that now as well.
The nice thing is that Zeros is trying to let the wave get stacked up into him, so he's not putting himself into danger because he doesn't have flash, as well as standing on the outskirt there to punish boss if he steps up.
See how the matchup develops, but in bottom lane, Big Coral and Pallet, knowing where the jungle attention has been recently, trying to play up and aggressive in this lane, getting the lane pushed in. This was pretty common throughout the series, even in the, the more defensive games that Gadget and Santos were playing. Didn't really get much initiative.
I like this.
Meliodas, though, again, this is a classic for this team, camping for the top laner. There's the flash committed. Boss going to use his flash as well. Will they go for the dive? They sidestep the Rupture. Zeros wants the first blood, but he's not going to get it.
They're not able to find it. Meliodas does fall down pretty low right now. I was curious what Ananasik was going to do with the information. He was starting to skirt up towards the Cho'Gath, but says, no, I'm just going to take these Krugs. This could be dangerous here.
Level 2 still for the vibe. It now ticks over, and that Q is just going to poke.
Okay, good. I was going to say, he needs to be respectful because Boss is still sitting on the TP, and if he decides to overcommit for that, especially using something like his belly bop to gap close, maybe trade some damage, that's very easy for Cho'Gath to just turn and trap him.
Meliodas, though, does not overstep his boundaries, and instead going to go back around to his
We're ganking
side
top
of the map.
Again.
And I feel like one lane has gotten, attention in any given game. And this game, we've seen a lot of bot lane direction for both these teams, but certainly it is all about the top lane matchup.
And it was now just cleared out that top side jungle. I was actually wondering if Ananasik would then just run back up top lane. One of the nice things about when you have a Cho'Gath into the top side is that your ability to gank and to dive is actually really strong, not just because of the tanky stats, but because of the area that you can cover between the Rupture and the Silence. But
Pallet there finds the taunt onto Gadget, who's going to have to flash pretty soon here. Devour, though, actually maybe going to make me a liar, but Santa's not going to be the target. Tahm Kench on the table for first blood, but not enough damage.
And the Tahm Kench pick pays off right there. They tried, they threw everything in the kitchen sink to try to crack that lane, but you just can't bench the Kench.
And now Santos will have to go back, but just walk down and be okay with the situation. Nor also getting poked out. Nomad's continuing to have a pretty good run here on this Orianna once more. So that's Nor going to be forced back away or lose minions to the turret here.
It's going to get easier for Null now that he is level 5. Zoe's going to struggle in the wave clear against Orianna for the early few levels, but as soon as he gets more points into his abilities, gets some more items under him, he'll be able to kind of contest just this priority that No Man's is applying to mid.
Also, Null does have Spellbook, so that TP able to get him back to the lane and loses, I think, only 1 minion. So we'll write that there, as No Man's is going to walk back, but doesn't look like he'll lose too much either.
Going for the tier, Orianna.
Don't see this too often, but certainly an option you can have. Maybe just investing in the late game they feel like they may be heading to.
We'll keep our eye on it. You're right, normally you do see the Lost Chapter, but obviously you're kind of getting the same thing, which as soon as your wave clear mid laner has access to Lost Chapter, so they can have a perma push and never really deplete their mana pool, tier can help her do the same thing. To an extent.
Nice to see Zeros again playing aggressive. Boss will catch up in CS a little, but actually never mind, not with this dive brewing. Predator pop by Meliodas, making their intent very clear here.
Okay, Boss, no flash.
Oh, Nanasik already here though. They've taken so long for this dive.
Here comes Orianna as well.
TP in, I think they have to pull away, but Meliodas caught by the rupture. Gonna get silenced, gonna get knocked up by a Nanasik's Vault Breaker, but the first blood goes over. It's actually Meliodas that gets it, and Nanasik now maybe in trouble as Null finds the snipe. He will go down to the turret, but No Man's already burnt his flash. Can't really chase. The shockwave is beautiful though, but Meliodas gonna land the slow. They might even fancy going in for it, but no, No Man's able to grab the kill.
And from the mid lane, No Man's walks up there. He is able to turn it around in the back half, though. It's still a massive wave that Boss is missing out on the Cho'Gath. That said, the Orianna, big beneficiary here because she picks it up. And Pallet, you're looking a little crazy. I see it in your eyes. I don't agree with it. Just let it go.
PVB really just wanting to get this game over with, it feels like in some ways. We talked about Vega's patience and the more cool, calm, collected nature pushing them to this point. That's not how PVB got here in a lot of ways. They want to play aggressive.
I mean, if Vegas Squadron are going to play their style, I guess I just got to embrace the PvP style. And here's the cool thing. So we were talking a lot about the mechanic and kind of like the mechanical breakdown of the Buffalo's players. The mechanics were back on point when they attempted to execute this dive. Unfortunately, the rotations were not, but hold that.
Yep, Santa's already in trouble. That's going to be Big Koro cleaning up the kill. They do complete the dive with Ashe absent.
See, I agree with this one because Ashe was absent. So good job, Pallet and Big Koro.
And it just feels like there aren't many breaks on this train. For Fenghui Buffalo up actually almost 2,000 gold just from those kills on those plates and the CS.
It's a GLP, Orianna.
Oh.
Yeah, she's going for the, what's the little Hextech revolver called? Hextech revolver?
The revolver's the component that builds into the GLP.
Yeah.
I like it. I mean, we'll see. Hold there from a Nanasik into the rupture. That's beautifully played.
Delicious.
Yeah, Zeros even with the flush there, not really able to get out of that one.
And you can see how this combo is going to work out. It's basically the bounce house. You wait for the Vi ultimate to connect, and then you just rupture them up into the air. Zeros is like, oh, this is fun, League of Legends.
Important though, very much needed there for Boss, who's 40 CS down as the wave comes in. And now PVB like, all right, you know what? You got to kill. Not for too much longer.
Disengage. Run.
Bubble, long range, doesn't find the target. Boss though is going to be the one to go for. Oh, and that's actually really big misstep there from Meliodas. Is only level 5 Pallet, no flash, so can't really chase. Null did get a GLP off the ground. But only gets a slow and can't find a follow-up, so that's just Meliodas feeding a kill over.
Yeah, that was basically the Uber Eats of ganks right there. Gragas is like, yeah, you want some more on that? Sweet. And Boss feeling actually really good into this matchup now. Yeah, the CS discrepancy is still there. But the nice thing about Cho'Gath is he's still kind of like a traditional low econ tank. Because of his natural base stats, he's still going to do exactly what you need him to do, which is layer that rupture, followed up with the silence, and just be that super obnoxious meat shield.
Yep, gold's only 300 between the two, so with Boss picking up armor, has to feel pretty comfy. Don't know how long this lane swap's going to last for, and armor has to
still going to do exactly what you need him to do, which is layer that rupture, followed up with the silence, and just be that super obnoxious meat shield.
Yep, gold's only 300 between the two, so with Boss picking up armor, has to feel pretty comfy. Don't know how long this lane swap's going to last for. I think they're just covering the lanes because Null already roamed up towards the top lane. But you can see Zeros is trying to be the player that he's been so long in the VCS, just completely dominant, taking over a lane. He's on a signature Jace. He's had some luck, but again, when you do something this obvious, it's very easy for Vega to find the reaction.
And now it's about, you know, what can Zeros do with that window advantage that he has? The fact that he has put Boss so far down, and he has these big windows to look for roam as he shoves that wave up. Like, Zeros now needs to take the attention that his team has given him and somehow translate it back to him. If that's, you know, constantly cutting back towards the mid lane, if that's helping get deep vision into Anonysic's jungle for Meliodas, or if that's starting off something like a Rift Herald, it just needs to be more.
You can see Nor, for all those roams, actually down almost 20 CS himself, so the top side kind of being sacrificed to Seros here to make sure he got that lead. Meliodas, though, is going to try and use this pressure to take the Rift Herald away.
And this is the first start of it, but on the other side, it is a Mountain Dragon. You are, again, still dealing with the likes of a Cho'Gath, a Blade of the Rune King 80 carry, and then a very early Mountain. That means that if the Baron isn't warded, if they're not accounting for it, it's so easy for Vega Squadron to abuse later on in the game.
No Man's also does a nice job spotting out Meliodas, and he's only level 6, and Orianna's level 10. So No Man's, if Null isn't here, can actually contest this pretty comfortably. So we'll move in, reset it, and that's Anonysig just getting the Drake and maybe an extra buff here as well.
And this kind of goes back to the previous point that I was making of, like, Zeros needs to translate his power elsewhere onto the map, and the Rift Herald was one of those areas, but he didn't rotate down, and instead it was the mid laners that bullied around. But now bot lane, there's the arrow.
What an ulti. Big Korra gonna get snapped to pieces. Anonysig chasing in with a Chilling Spite. Now Pal gonna get ultied, and the bot lane for Vega once again has their jungler visit, and it's 2 kills over.
Just nailed him. Gadget making that Ashe pick really count for him. Known for his mages, but hitting the arrows when it matters.
I mean, Zeros again, he's trying to bully. He's still up a massive amount of minions, but this feels like, again, starting to not matter. Now it's Vega actually find themselves in the league. We were talking only moments ago about how PVB were up 2K. Now it's Vega up about 700.
Because they're only winning on one point in the map. Look at all of that vision that is scattered around Vega Squadron's bottom side jungle there. That is, everything is lit up. There are so many choices that Anonysig gets to make with that type of information, and he's making the right one every single time.
Yeah, we didn't have a 3-buff this game, by the way, but Anonysig certainly feels like he's really come to form in this game, or in this series, I should say. Nor going to try and line up the Drowsy. He does grab it, but here comes the Vi, cleanse out from the Orianna, and Zeros, you know, now finally making his way down here, but nothing really to gain, just the Summoner spell. Also
just a really good read from Vega Squadron to recognize that Zeros was on the hunt. Now, they will take away the red buff, I think, but that's chump change to them for the fact that Orianna's still alive. Back to Gadget, nails the arrow when it counts. It's then perfectly followed up on Anonysig, and finally punishing Big Korra for not taking something like a cleanse. Yeah, it's Ezreal, and you do have the access to the Arcane Shift, but he's taking teleport every single time. He's just playing so arrogantly down there.
I also like that, you know, we had Medic in counter illustrating strong side versus weak side. Too far forward on your weak side. You don't know where the enemy jungler is, and right now Pal gonna get ultied, and the bot lane for Vega once again has their jungler visit, and it's 2 kills over.
Just nailed him. Gadget making that Ashe pick really count for him. Known for his mages, but hitting the arrows when it matters.
I mean, Zeros again, he's trying to bully. He's still up a massive amount of minions, but this feels like, again, starting to not matter. Now it's Vega actually find themselves in the league. We were talking only moments ago about how PVB were up 2K. Now it's Vega up about 700.
Because they're only winning on one point in the map. Look at all of that vision that is scattered around Vega Squadron's bottom side jungle there. That is, everything is lit up. There are so many choices that Anonysig gets to make with that type of information, and he's making the right one every single time.
Yeah, we didn't have a 3-buff this game, by the way, but Anonysig certainly feels like he's really come to form in this game, or in this series, I should say. Nor going to try and line up the Drowsy. He does grab it, but here comes the Vi, cleanse out from the Orianna, and Zeros, you know, now finally making his way down here, but nothing really to gain, just the Summoner spell. Also just a really good read from Vega Squadron to recognize that Zeros was on the hunt. Now, they will take away the red buff, I think, but that's chump change to them for the fact that Orianna's still alive. Back to Gadget,
nails the arrow when it counts. It's then perfectly followed up on a Nanasik, and finally punishing Big Koro for not taking something like a cleanse. Yeah, it's Ezreal, and you do have the access to the Arcane Shift, but he's taking teleport every single time. He's just playing so arrogantly down there.
I also like that, we had Medic in counter illustrating strong side versus weak side. Too far forward on your weak side. You don't know where the enemy jungler is, and it's a Vi. Usually you think you can get away from most junglers as Ezreal. Not the case in that situation. They didn't even need it with Gadget's aim.
And I just love how they're comboing with this Vi by making sure that they just have so many multiple pieces of CC to help Vi really land her ultimate. The fact that it's not relying on Vi to open up the fight and to press R, that you have something like an arrow, which I think is kind of like the key, most important takeaway of making a champion like Vi really work in a competitive meta.
Yeah, good point there. Although now honestly going to get jumped on. Farrell not quite connected because I think he queued away from it. I thought he flashed, but Meliodas tried to line up that combo and could not complete it.
And slowly but surely, they're starting to lose control over this top side of the map, as now you're talking about strong side versus... What?
Arrow
What?
barely misses Null.
Okay, you might as well throw it. Are we checking now in top lane? Are we waiting for the arrow because it already flew by?
Yeah, I think it's floated on, but...
I was saying that the strong side has now swapped over. The fact that Gadget and Santas made an early rotation. Gadget's still down there, does have TP. He's now pulled it now.
Yep, could be a big fight over the Rift Herald here. Zeros going to get jumped on, forced to flash over, and Nanasik forwards with the ulti. Boss over the top, feasts on Zeros. Now Shockwave does miss for Noman's, but still already the first pick done for Vega.
We're going to call it a zoning Shockwave right there. And all Noman's needs to do is to get his ball laid down in that little choke point. So waiting for Drowsy, will probably step back forward, and he's just going to keep all three of those PVB members at bay.
Good poke here, though, again from the Ezreal and the Zoe. Rift Herald not getting done that quickly here. Continuing to charge in and poke down. Big chunk there onto Gadget. Boss trying to zone them out of the way. A great silence there. And with the Rift Herald done, I don't think they're going to get too much here. Pallet does have the flash. It is the TP, and PVB committing for a play. Meliodas looking to go over the top, but he can't make it over the wall. Pallet finds a two-man taunt. Zera gonna get himself the kill. Santa's maybe forfeit next.
They're gonna shake and look for the dive.
Nanasik moving in, the next Q doesn't land. Nor tries to find it, goes Drowsy, does the Tahm Kench, and that's Big Koro picking up a sitter.
And something will get back for the Buffaloes here. They're also gonna try to pick up Boss. Surely he will fall right now, grab the minion wave, maybe a top tower.
Kill shot accuracy looking good right now. And there's the order from Meliodas saying, don't need accuracy with that one.
That was just dodge bomb there. He like popped the righteous glory. He's like, wait, what way is it gonna be?
And that's the tower over as well, but let's revisit this one.
Okay, so I actually really liked some of the initial setup here. The fact that they were able to disengage by using the Orianna ball to zone away. But at this point, PVB, no, we've committed too many resources. We must find something here. Big guy Pallet finds the flash taunt, at least picks up some of the kills, and then helps separate Vega Squadron, who are just like every man for themselves. Everyone get out, everyone run away.
Power of Zoe, once you start chasing, you usually don't have to stop for too long. Rift Herald, though, is channeled mid. Abyssal Voyage was committed also for Santa's, so Vega do answer back and get a turret for themselves. But once again, the gold lead has flip-flopped back in favor of Fongvu. Buffalo up about 600. But again, Ocean Drake up, and this is a very high-tempo game at this point.
And checking in back on No Man's build, I was excited. I wanted to see the GLP Orianna. Instead, he went for the Archangel, so looking more for having more of that late game feel that you were talking about, and now we'll also have access to the shield. So Orianna shield on top of Archangel shield, like he's going to be really tanky and can survive these sustained damage fights for a long time. It also helped a lot against the likes of Zoe. So if Zoe ever does find him with one of these big pokes, he now has kind of two shields to work with to absorb a lot of that nuke damage.
Just needed a book to read on the way to his first item. Has that spare tome.
I saw the extra book. I was like, yes, give me that utility Ori. Give me Ash Ori.
Would be fun, but not this time around. As Null now playing in a long lane there in mid. Big Koro also here in the bot side has the Manamune charging up and the Iceborne done. Nice and cheap, of course, are the Ezreal items, so not too surprising. I imagine the goal between the two is somewhat equal. Now that there are no objectives really on the map to easily take, it feels like the game is going to slow down a little bit, but Fongvu have definitely bought the pace I expected, and Vega, to their credit, are actually answering relatively well. Noldo is starting to really open up the game. True Shot Barrage and the Shock Blast almost made it a one-shot.
Okay, this is literally a game of dodgeball for Vega Squadron. Can the poke damage connect from the Buffaloes? If not, then they can just turn it around with these big wombo combo ults. But the thing is that you're then playing around timer. So if you look at Vega Squadron's comp, like they are so reliant on long cooldowns on key ultimates to finish fights, whereas the Buffalo's composition, because those champions rotate through cooldowns so quickly, the likes of Ezreal, of Zoe, of Jace, they're not reliant on big, long ultimates to decide fights. They can keep tempo a lot in this game. So Vega need to be really on point of when they pick their moments, because if it ever doesn't connect for them, there's going to be a much longer window while they're waiting for their ultimates to come back off of cooldown that Buffaloes will just throw punch after punch at them.
Well, when they did miss those first few punches, however, Boss actually just casually takes the top outer turret because Zeros was with his team trying to find that poke. Again, I get it, mid-outer turret's a very important piece of the map to try and dismantle, but perhaps committing a little too much there in the situation, as the map will kind of move back to normalcy for a little while longer.
I think we're going to be in a farm state until, like you're saying, another big objective comes up. The most important objective on the map for Buffaloes here is going to be that mid tower. It's going to be really hard to break as long as Orianna has access to mana and is alive in the lane. And they don't have the same CC, so I'm actually looking at Meliodas. If they want to break mid lane tower, they really need this Gragas to threaten with the cask and possibly break or sweep her off the structure. But if Meliodas isn't paying attention to that lane, then Vega Squadron can stall out this game for a very long time by just having their mid lane tower stay alive.
Null also got the blue buff, so makes Operation Poke in the mid tower that much easier. Also see that Santa's moving around quite a lot. Another good component to have if you're just trying to save someone from a Zoe bubble. TP down also from Big Coro to the bot lane, just returning to try and keep the pace up as far as farm goes.
Actually really surprised that Big Coro and Palette returned towards the bot lane to just kind of trade farm here. I feel like we're tunneled in a little bit too much for the Buffaloes on finding these kills as opposed to prioritizing the objective. But here we go.
Yeah, no man's chunked again. But Ananasik already here to answer. Actually, it's found Meliodas TP in from Vega. Arrow's going to land in as well, but Meliodas with a great stopwatch as Pallet swoops in with a hero's entrance. There's the ulti out of the way, but now Pallet's going to try and get out of there. No intent to re-engage down. Look for the assassination. PVB able to grab the carries. Orianna, though, still alive, but Big Koro over the wall takes down the jungler. And Fongvu Buffalo just brute forcing their way through Vega.
And the thing is that Vega Squadron didn't find the engage. They didn't make it work with all of those big cooldowns, and one was the worst time fall down right there. There are so many objectives that Buffaloes can take on the map. Is it going to be the mid tower? Looks like it's going to be the Baron.
They're going to make a go of it at least. 7 seconds till the Vi is back up.
Oh, the indecision.
I think they've realized that maybe it's a bit early for this Baron.
But this is actually really indicative. If you want to talk about like nerves or the hype getting to them, the fact that they misread a call like that, where are we going? Are we taking the mid tower? Are we taking the Baron? And then in the end, they don't get either. They didn't make it work with all of those big cooldowns, and once they were expended, you can see how the Buffalo's competition just immediately rolls over you, and it was the worst time to fall down right there. There are so many objectives that Buffaloes can take on the map. Is it going to be the mid tower? Looks like it's going to be the Baron.
They're going to make a go of it at least. 7 seconds till the Vi is back up.
Oh, the indecision.
I think they've realized that maybe it's a bit early for this Baron.
But this is actually really indicative. If you want to talk about like nerves or the hype getting to them, the fact that they misread a call like that, where are we going? Are we taking the mid tower? Are we taking the Baron? And then in the end, they don't get either.
Oh, it's painful to watch for a VCS fan, but Vega lucky to get out with what they did here. The team fight, though, really nice from Fongfu Buffalo, despite the good engage.
Yeah, exactly. It's the fact that they think that they find a pick, they follow up the Vi ultimate with an attempted Ash arrow, but it doesn't connect because of a nicely timed stopwatch. Now that you have all of these big cooldowns down, the flank, the pincher, the dodgeball, it all happens.
And Zeros, despite falling there, he knew his job there. Just go in, try and smash the carries. And the most dominant player in the VCS is starting to come alive, and the crowd is coming along with him.
So at least finding something right now, looking to step up towards this dragon.
They're going.
The cooldown is down.
Not going to get it, but Nanasik into the bounce house. That's going to be Meliodas dead though, but PVB just unrelenting in their pressure. And Anasik will die. Zeros now still off to the side, but he's going to try and take down Nomads with him. The shot down from the Kent, but Null able to grab the Orianna instead as Boss going to get kited out by Big Core, and he should fall as well. Rupture is good. The last Q won't quite connect, but just Stroker, there's nowhere to go. Last few autos make it happen, and that's an ace. Just barely for Fengvu.
Gadget just now barely alive, does have access to the teleport, but this is just looking devastating. The only silver lining here for Vega Squadron is they did get the mountain, so 2 mountains and an ocean to their name as we take another look at that 1v1. And why is Gadget just walking down there when his team is on the Dragon?
Hard to say, but again, Fengvu Buffalo knew that no matter what, they were going in for this play. And despite the fact that Ananasik dies trying to, Meliodas dies trying to steal it, the rest of the fight goes their way.
And visually, it's going to be very clear to see who wins these team fights just because of the nature of these compositions. If you see blue dots everywhere and they're just all over the screen, Fengvu Buffaloes have already won it. The amount or the ability of this type of composition to, again, just kind of rip everyone apart from the inside out. They layer and they whittle down with the poke, and then they jump in and just start snowballing around the fights. Versus Vega Squadron want very much a traditional front-to-back fight. You want your line of scrimmage set. You got red on one side, blue on the other.
Well, Zeros is kind of, you know, in feast or famine mode in some ways. He's making some great plays, some very aggressive ones, but it is costing him in the death column. Null, however, is the player that is stepping up on this Zoe. When his top side that's traditionally been very strong for the side has not been stepping up, he is landing with frightening accuracy these skill shots onto Vega.
And there's just too much to dodge, you know. Maybe you sidestep Null once, but then you get nailed by a shock blast. Maybe you're paying attention to Zeros, and so Null slips underneath the radar. And if one connects,
he found Santis, because that's why he's dead. Blue buff over to Zeros as well. Fengvu Buffalo starting to get cooking here, up about 5,500 gold.
And Vega Squadron just need to reset. They need to shake it off. They need to figure out how to get back into control of this game and slow down the pace here, pump the brakes a little bit. And I think that does start with the vision game. And Santos needs to make sure that when he's playing that vision game, he's not playing it by himself and getting caught out like that.
There's a team, though, that does not want to slow down in this situation. It is Fengvu. Even Meliodas just getting Nomads out of there, does not want the shockwave to be a thing.
Now, one of the scary things is the only way to alleviate the pressure when Vega Squadron are kind of stuck under their tower like this is to pull the trigger for a hard engage. Because they have a Cho'Gath and because he's so far behind a very powerful Jace, you can't alleviate this pressure by trying to play a different point on the map.
Gotcha. Oh, you have to be careful. Shock Blast is good, but Null can't follow with the Q. But he's going to, again, keep throwing pot shots in the tower. PVB trying to finish this off.
Which just means that Vega Squadron need to pull the trigger before they lose too much of their health, which is why you can see Ashe standing into Fog of War trying to throw a blind arrow here. But I feel like PVB, they recognize that. They say, this is fine. We're in control of the game now. Slow it down. Zeros wants to back. He probably has a pretty big buy behind him. And we're just going to continue to play out this 1-4. We have all of our poke lined up. We're going to take pot shots at you underneath every single objective. And then Zeros can win a side lane. And eventually, we'll either kill you or we'll take an objective.
So Vega, you said it already. Double Mountain and the Cho'Gath. They're going to go for the Turbo Baron here.
This is the Hail Mary play. They know that they can't get into another poke war.
They need to poke them though, but now Vega may be turning off. The Baron resets, so the attempt is done.
Oh, it's desperation.
Oh, Big Cora, what a flash. Oh. Got chunked by the shockwave, but did not die.
Vega they're getting desperate. They don't have a shockwave. They're approaching the Baron again just because they want to try to zone people off. They're now cut away from where they need to be. You can see Ezreal preparing the wave in the mid lane.
Santos and Boss just move out with the Abyssal Voyage. Null also going to take a recall. Does have Spellbook if he can swap to TP. If they want to go back in swiftly on this one.
And everyone, take a breath. That got really scary for a minute there for Vega Squadron fans. They know we can't get pushed out under our tower. We can't have extended poke wards with them. We either need to force an objective, get to an area, maybe set a trap, but this will be another situation that if Vega are back to their tower, they're going to just start throwing arrows, throwing shockwaves.
PVB building in strength. Zeros almost up to a Black Cleaver as his third item. And Null's actually done. Already finished his Zhonya's, his Banshees, and his Ludens with a 10-stack Dark Seal.
I actually think it's really important that Boss has also completed his Warmogs. So has the utility of the Righteous Glory because, again, the only way that Vega Squadron execute against this composition is through the hard engage. But because you are dealing with so much poke and we have teams that are sitting on the mat for a really long time, that Warmogs can give him so much value if he's able to over-sustain or out-sustain multiple iterations or multiple fights.
Block with your face. Ooh, second Ocean actually very valuable here for Vega versus the poke comp. So they should be able to get it here. PVB not moving in just yet. Shockwave finds 2.
But no follow-up.
Boston, maybe another target. He's not that tanky. Pal looking for the taunt, will find it. Fight's gonna break out. That's dead. Meliodas able to find the snipe. But as Ananasik in onto Zeros, he's forced to flash away. Null again trying to find it, but Gadget forced away as Ananasik does get the kill onto Zeros. However, Pallet looking to make the plays once again. He's got the flash, but he does not commit it. Null looking for the angles. Oh, he almost found Gadget with the bubble.
And it was another situation where every man for themselves. As soon as all of the ultimates went down, Vega Squadron like, we have to get out of here. Now, this should mean that the tower possibly falls. No Man's wants to wave clear, but it's just too dangerous. If he dies, it means so much more loss.
Can't face check Null. He's just so strong at this point. I mean, Zeros, he's making the aggressive plays. He's sacrificing himself for the better of his team at this point. They do take the turret.
Now, teleport is up and available for Boss. He can try to look for a TP. You see pinging on deep wards behind them.
Yeah,
there he goes.
Vega.
Gadget's coming with him too. This is a 2-man teleport.
They can see it though. Boss in. There's Gadget though. Meliodas gonna find it up, but Big Core gonna try and kite it out of there. Stun onto Pallet. Meliodas goes in. He's gonna try and buy time. Here comes Zeros as well. Vega, you cannot kite out this comp, but they're forced to run away into stasis, but the front line falls, and Fong Fu Buffalo coming alive.
They just annihilate Vega Squadron right now. If they want to go for the end, if they catch them, this can be game over. Series done right here. At very least, it's full Baron control.
PVB will take probably the most aggressive option presented to them, and right now that is going to be the Baron. Big Koro has already started it. There's even a controller in the back, so this is not a secret to Vega, but they can't face check here.
And I don't blame Vega Squadron for looking for that type of play. What I do blame is also putting the Ashe there. There was no reason to have your ADC land on top with your tank and then just instantly die.
And again, PVB make the aggressive play that gives them over the teamfight win. It gives them the Baron.
And I want people to pay attention also to where Meliodas is. He's on the back end and he's also sweeping out, so he knows he's not seen. So Gadget thinks he's safe, making this type of teleport play, and then bam, just smack down and completely disengage. That means all of the damage in the follow-up is lost, and now the team is split. The Shockwave doesn't connect with anyone, the Ashe Arrow wasn't followed up on, there was just nothing from Vega.
Yep, they lose their jungler and their tank in the top lane. That's Baron over to Fong Vu. About 8,000 gold ahead or so. They can see the win. Null started some heavier reading. He's got Majai's looking to stack it up even further.
And what a turnaround from the Buffaloes, especially on Na. You pointed it out, Pastry. This guy has just had a very up and down last 2 best of 5s. Kind of mechanical mistake after mechanical mistake, and now picks up a very intensive champion like Zoe. 5-1-9 right now, is putting in the work. And not just him, but it started with Zeros in the top lane. Big Koro also flexing on the likes of this Ezreal. Like, I don't know where they found their Wheaties, who gave them the locker room talk. It was the crowd that was just like, getting behind them, that 6-man, but the Buffaloes have come back to play and are looking like we expected.
Well, still smashing down turrets despite the Drake deficit. They just have so much power to play with still. Gold lead's starting to get bigger. It's very close to 10k up now. Trying to do what they can with about 2 minutes left of Baron buff. Want to break some inhibitor turrets if they can, and they've got the siege to do it.
And this is the terrifying situation. You take 2 pieces of poke, and it's basically over, and it just puts you on a clock. How long can you dodge for? How much can you survive before you just have to look for the engage?
And all over the wall, again, forces Santa's away. Also got Zeros in the mid lane, trying to get the minions shoved in.
All eyes on this Ashe Arrow, all eyes on the Shockwave.
Vega, when do you pick your moment? You probably want to save this tower if you can. You gotta go before you get poked out. Meliodas just with the ulti to try and zone them off and chunk Gadget a little bit.
I think that was a fear ultimate. He threw it out way too early.
I like that from Santos. Just picking up the Baron up cannon and saying, all right, that's out of there.
At this point, I think Vega Squadron will probably let the single inhib go. Losing 2 is really the nail in the coffin, but again, you're waiting for that Shockwave cooldown, so I like this. Hey, we didn't connect with the Shockwave. We can't fight them. Let's try to hold on to our other key ultimates and then just slow down how much of our base we're losing.
Koget falls asleep, but that's probably the one target you're okay with on the Vega side. So Inhibitor does eventually fall. PVB, will they stay out on the map? They've got an Ocean Drake that they might want to take away to prevent the triple in 20 seconds. For now, they'll at least go back and spend their money.
Would also help open up the possibility of an Elder, just another objective for them to play around. Again, this comp really loves to play around when Vega Squadron want to hold like 1 point on the map, and then you've got all of these projectiles flying at you.
Drake is up. Meliodas will get some vision with the Scryer's Bloom. Big Koro now with 4 items completed, actually on record pace to finish off his full build. He's going to go do the Drake with his jungler, and that should be forfeit. Not the most exciting Drake to pick up, but might as well grab it for yourself.
And it's just a breather moment here, as
haven't been many this game.
see how cleanly the Buffaloes can finish out what should be their game. Can never underestimate, again, the power of a well-placed wombo combo.
No Man's also getting cheeky, trying to find a carry and delay the push.
But it does feel like the Buffaloes can taste it, that they know that this is their game to lose, that they are so close to that group stage.
Back into sleep, not going to follow up. Good chunk of damage. Only have to just be a little bit more patient. Zeros getting the mid wave going. Boss is busy in the top lane with the supers. Don't think this tower's going to last too long here for Vega. And the sweeping out as well. Again, denying what vision you can. It's already dangerous to face check when Zoe and Ezreal are out and about. And you can't see, it's even more so.
And PVB doing a good job. Multiple sweepers going down, a lot of control wards. They're trying to make sure that their flanks are safe, that when they are approaching these structures to look for the siege, to look for the poke, that there's no crazy teleport coming in behind them. You check on the timers, you can see that Gadget and Boss's TPs are about to come off of cooldown. The Baron has worn out, so we could be possibly playing around the next timer, which is in 1 minute. And there's now another window where Vega have the opportunity to look for the sucker punch to get their foot back into the game, but I feel like that's almost like the last window. They get one more shot at this.
Meliodas even. He's going the AP build this time around. Actually now finished his Zhonya's. So everyone from Fengvu very well equipped to fight around the Baron that's coming up in 45 seconds. And I feel like this Baron will be the make or break moment for this game. If Vega can find a way to steal it or somehow win a fight around it, then they get to keep playing. Actually, if they lose this Baron, I think the game's over.
I agree with you. I think it's really fun that he went for the AP Gragas, because I think when you're working with Null and even the Ezreal, like if one piece of that CC or that poke lands, like they're basically half health, and an AP Gragas drops a cask on you, the ability to assassinate someone from long range is actually really cool. Like, as a comp, this is really fun, but very hard to execute. I've been very impressed with how the Buffaloes have done it.
Yeah, you know, you talk kind of like dodgeball, having to dodge all these skill shots. The cast's kind of like the critical hit ball that you throw it at the end to finish off your opponent.
You always see that one kid that just gets slammed in the face. That's what that Gragas cast does.
Again, just keep pushing the waves up. Baron is now up and alive, so PVB going to pick their spot once they've got the waves in positions they're happy with.
And you know, we haven't even talked about this. Buffaloes don't need the Baron to end this. They have so many ranged champions. Yeah, there's an abundance of wave clear, but you can starve out No Man's mana pool if you'd like, or just whittle away with the poke and start to starve out some of these health bars. So I actually like this idea of, you know, we don't need Baron. That's kind of the one way that Vega would get back into this. Let's just try to exhaust them on this map.
Still got Inhiba up for a minute as well, I think, which is a thing I'd forgotten. So Super Minion is now going to have to be dealt with by No Man's. That means they can keep pressuring around and throwing their skill shots in. Zeros actually stepping up to chunk down the turret, does a decent amount of damage to it. And Gadget is dodging well. No Man's eats the cast from Meliodas. Big Koro gets slowed. Someone's fallen asleep. Oh, it's a minion. The melee creep slacking on the defense of this inhibitor tower.
Minions have feelings too, Pastry.
Well, better the melee creep than your carry at this point, most certainly. And looks like PVB decided that, all right, that's enough sieging for now. Inhibitor's coming back up, and this is a pretty straightforward 2-man, although Hawkshot will spot it.
Anonisic
He's asleep.
Yeah, he's trying to get over
Wrong
the top.
time for a nap, buddy.
Him and Agent Santos, can they get into this pit?
They're going to try, and Noel's going to make sure they cannot. And PVB actually pull off the objective to try and maybe force something here. I like this. Again, like you said, getting the Baron stolen is one of the few ways this game is wrested away from you.
But I feel like it's a bit too much like respect there. Maybe they're trying to buy time for Zeros on this side of the map. They are starting it up 2-man again. But I think at some point, the Buffaloes just need to say that they're pulling the trigger.
Talon may be caught out here, but it's actually going to flash out to safety. And all over the top, forces the Devour out of Santa's. Here comes Zeros. Good chunk, but not quite enough. Inhibitors back up again, so Vega have to worry about that entry point into their base. Fenghui Buffalo will actually reset. Elder Dragon up in 20 seconds. Now the map has 2 major monsters to play around.
This is interesting, though. Vega could just walk up to this and try to very quickly burn it. This is still a double mountain, double ocean team with the Cho'Gath. So playing around the Elder might just overcomplicate things for Buffalo because they can't just leave the Baron unattended. The ability for Vega to just burn down that objective, or the Elder if they choose so, is pretty massive. This feels like a game of juggle that Buffalo really shouldn't want to play.
And as predicted, this game has gone much longer than our last part, almost 37 minutes in, and Vega are at least going to tap the Dragon. Prowler can see them, so he knows what's going on, but this dies very quickly.
Yeah, look how it's burning.
I mean, they've got so much damage already. They've got the secure. They will grab it. Now they're going to run and not get picked off, and Zeros actually is assaulting the base. Maybe PVB can stop some backs, but they're just running straight towards him.
This is one of those scenarios. You're going to look back at these type of intense decisions. What was the clutch call? Was it the right call to give away an Elder? Because eventually, Buffaloes will have to go through this team to get to the base.
The minions!
They're so strong.
Really clutch bubble there by Nor, although Zeros has overstayed for this. It's not going to matter at this point. He's going to lose his GA. I mean, PVB are going to try and force here. They actually get the combo in onto the Cho'Gath boss. He's going to fall down. I think it's close to Stone Plate Pop, but it's not enough to keep his life. And now Orianna forced to insta-cleanse. They're going to try and force them out of the base here. Already one inhib gotten. They've broken the towers almost everywhere but the Nexus.
Oh, no.
Big Koro is on point. Buffeted out of the shockwave twice now. PVB aren't stopping either. They say, we don't have a Jace, you don't have a Cho'Gath. No one can really sustain this poke. Gadget certainly cannot. Two-shot barrage in, that's going to force the Devour. PVB moving in forward, going to take this inhibitor. Vega running out of health to play with here. They just cannot tank this poke for too much longer.
And they ran out of cooldowns to play with. As soon as that shockwave went down, Buffaloes were given the confidence to step back forward. It's now 2 inhibitors taken away. Like you said, it was a clutch bubble. It was an even worse shockwave, though. As soon as that shockwave was down, you knew that it was going to be the mid-inhib. This is the last leg for Vega.
They've got 1 inhib left to defend, 2 Nexus turrets, and the final structure all remaining on the table. Fenghui Buffalo fancy themselves something around the Baron. Nanasik over the wall, looking for big Koro, but that flash wasted.
And even if he finds big Koro, he has a GA. For the safety that Ezreal has, access to his flash, his E, the GA, I don't know if you can kill him without burning multiple ultimates. And then what do? There's so many damage threats on that team. That's an AP Gragas.
And now Zeros with a QSS, almost finished full build, level 18, pushing the side lane with the stolen enemy blue buff. Elder Dragon's about to wear off. Didn't help much versus the poke anyway, unfortunately for Vega.
And it looks like now we're going to play the map Baron game for Buffalo. They weren't confident enough to close out the Baron play on a single inhib. They now have 2 inhibs to play around.
But you can't go, because I think Zeros will end the game if you commit too much to the left side of the map. And he knows it too. He's just sticking in this side lane.
Very tough decision for Vega Squadron. A rock in a hard place. They get, one mom spaghetti to make this one work.
Well, control that's starting to be erased from Vega's jungle. They have lost almost all vision around this Baron. In fact, PvP say that's enough. Hawkshot is really nice from Gadget. Again, that utility helping out a ton here.
And look how they've done their lane assignments. They have the Abyssal Voyage with Orianna to quickly get here, and they're making sure that Boss is near the pit. He has Flash, he has Feast. The call is clear from Vega. They want to try to Feast steal this unless they catch out a fight.
TP in from Zeros, so they're going to try and take the jungle, but as you said, they still got the Feast, even if an Anasik dies. He's got the GA, Abyssal Voyage in. They're going to try and start a team fight here. Santa's though too far forward, and Anasik still caught out of position. Big Koro cleanses out of the big arrow, and Meliodas finds 2. Going to look to knock them back into stasis. There's the neck down, and Anasik will fall after the hero's entrance. Boss will be forfeit as well, and PVB might not need the Baron to end this game.
It's just 3 members alive. Can they hold against?
That's it. Goodbye. That's game, PVB. It looks like they have done it. Vega can only run away from this point as PVB will surge into the base to end the game. Santa's force, Nomad's the only one left alive as PVB will push the final minions in towards the Nexus.
And all the analysts just wanted is they wanted to see Zeros. This is who they came to see on that chase, and they finally got him. The ace comes through, and the Buffaloes are charging towards the Nexus.
They will earn their place on the mid-season's biggest stage in front of their home crowd. Fongfu Buffalo fought so hard to get here, but they will take the final spot in MSI groups.